Hello, today we're working on some paintings that I thought would be good ideas if you needed to create, say, a card for Valentine's Day. We're going to do, if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to do the sunset painting with the sun as a heart. And we're also, I'm sorry, I just got distracted by chat. Just posting R in the chat. Anyhow, we're also going to paint a couple cards. And even if you don't celebrate or aren't celebrating Valentine's Day this year, I think you'll like these because you can adapt them for a variety of projects. You'll see what I mean in just a few moments. So all the supplies that I'm going to use today are linked in the description below. I recently did a paint swap with Rob, who is one of my channel members and in the chat today. And we swapped some core colors. I had some that he didn't have and he had some that I didn't have. So we did a paint swap. So I have these colors into my core palette. I have like the worst swatch in the world that I've ever done. So you have to bear with me when I'm trying to figure out a color if I'm trying to tell you something, because until about 10 minutes ago, I just had paint swatches, like little dabs of paint on a card, and didn't even have them. Didn't realize that I didn't label these anywhere. So because I haven't done a video on this on my expanded palette yet, and if that's something that you really want to see, drop me a comment and let me know, because I definitely will share with you all the different colors that I've expanded. I only had 14 because I had my introductory set of 12 plus 2 other colors. I purchased some colors to add to this set and swapped some colors with Rob, and my collection has grown. It's grown quite a bit. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited to use some of these today. So audio video check. Great. Thank you. Let me just share with you some of the cards. Now, one of them, I don't know if I'm going to repeat it. And I'll explain about that when we get there. But I'm going to share with you, I have made up a couple of these ahead of time. What did Joseph called it last time? Bob Ross? I Bob Rossed my paintings. I did them ahead of time to know how was this going to work when we do it together, because we're going to be live. And then I also have some brand new 100% cotton watercolor cards. I got these on recommendation from Rob as well. Rob makes a ton of Christmas cards every year that he hand paints, and I was fortunate enough to receive one of them this year. But this is those 100% cotton watercolor cards. They really piqued my interest, and we're going to look at these in a moment. But they really piqued my interest because in comparison to the Strathmore watercolor cards, and that's why I painted these projects ahead of time, because I wanted to paint them on the Strathmore cards that I am used to painting on. These are cellulose. And then paint them on the cotton cards and kind of compare and see what do I like better, because these cotton cards, comparing the price of 50 of the Strathmore cards to 50 of these cotton 100% cotton cards, the cotton cards are cheaper. So I love to paint on cotton paper. Yeah, I think that I'm really curious. I am really curious, and I am pleasantly optimistic that that I'm going to like them even more than the Strathmore, in which case I could be painting on cotton when I make my cards versus cellulose paper that's really not my favorite. So that said, let's see. Joseph says he painted every painting that went on TV 3 times. 3 times! Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, that is crazy. Okay. This is like, the whole thing surrounding him is such a sad story. But we won't go there. I hate to buy stuff now. Like you see right above my head, boom, there's a Bob Ross. And I have another one over on the other side of my studio, like some other like Bob Ross memorabilia type things. None of that money goes to his family or his estate. So yeah. Anyways, not going there. Just think it's a sad story. All right. I did some running like just before the stream started. So and my asthma has been flaring all week. So it's going to be fun. Bear with me. I appreciate your patience. All right. Let's look at what we're painting, because we have to do a few of these in stages. Again, I've listed the links to everything in the description below. And I'm going to take you down to the desk. There we are. So this is the one I painted ahead of time. I did this super fast. I mean, I literally was just throwing color at this paper just so that I would be able to get a thumbnail and get my idea out. Hopefully it's going to turn out much better than this one when we paint it live today. This is on the medium 100% cotton paper. I'm going to paint this on a card though. I'm like, let me just check in with chat, take a moment to breathe, and we'll get started. So hi George, hi to Tara, Jacqueline's here, hello. Just scrolling through. Joseph, I said Tara. I'm repeating because I'm seeing names again. Sorry guys. Oh, Jacqueline says, I love the meet-in video. Yay, I'm glad. I hope you guys have seen it. What do you think? The new curated collections. I'm kind of excited about those. Yeah, I'm really excited about those. I was asked if I was going to be working with the meet-in paints today. And that answer was no, because I am giving you guys a chance to order them and get them in. But, oh, wow. Rob says, so the video went out on Tuesday. Rob ordered his on Tuesday, and he said his is already shipped. So fantastic. They're real. I really like ordering from Meet-in directly. I've had lots of positive results with that. I'm using the Meet-in brushes today that I shared in that video, because as I said, I'm going to keep using these because I want to know, aside from the curated collection, are these a brush that I would recommend? Let me just say, every single ferrule, super tight. Like, there's not a loose one in the bunch. So my fingers are crossed that none of them will loosen up and we won't have any issues. I got this one. You see the handle stained a little bit. That's from some of the quinacridone colors that were in my rinse water earlier. I stained that a little, so that's possible, but it's white, so of course that's possible. Yeah, if you haven't seen the video with the curated collection, check that out. These are the paints. I put them in the palette. That was one of the add-ons. And if you haven't seen it, just a real quick rundown. Basically what I'm looking to do is I'm no longer getting any sort of art subscription boxes. I was just done with them. I'm just tired of getting repeat items and tired of getting boxes that I just wasn't going to use. And I thought long and hard about what was making me want to stop getting them. And after looking at that, I decided, you know what? I think there are things that I could do differently and present stuff to you where I can present a collection, a curated collection that's meant to work together. And then if you want that collection, you get it. You would never subscribe to a box. You would never get a box you didn't want. You would never get a duplicate item because you would only order the things that you actually don't have and spark an interest. And so I hope that that's something that might be perceived really well. And if it is, then we'll keep doing them. And in fact, I'll do them. I'm not sure if I'm going to do them every single month or like every other month. It's really going to depend on the feedback I get this month and how this goes. And we'll just kind of see going forward. But anyways, today we are working on the Valentine cards. So I'm going to paint this on a card. So it won't be this big. It's going to be half the size. It's going to be a card size. But here was, let me move that out of the way. And see, I did this like in a heart shape. And we're going to have to do that first and set that up and then kind of set it aside. We're going to paint it last, but we're going to start it first because we have to use some masking fluid. I also did this card. Excuse me. Now, this one was just painted. I don't know if we're going to do this again. This was... I painted... I taped off my card. And I did a very light wash over the whole thing. And then I came back and I put in some heart shapes. And then I painted it, the whole thing again, with the same, like a little bit darker version of that color. And that was these ones. So then when I came back the next time, I put where these hearts were going to be, because this was the next layer. And I painted the entire thing again, which left my background this color. Then I went through, did it again with the negative painting of the hearts. And that left my background this color. And then I came back through and put in where these hearts were going to be and did my entire background around all of the hearts one more shade darker. And you have this. I let that all dry. And I used some of my, like a metallic pen here. This was a silver Posca. And then this was my gold, my favorite pastel gold metallics. Heart of Gold is the color. And the Funasuke brush pens. One is hard tip, one is soft tip. I've shared these with you if you followed any of the Christmas card making videos. I love these pens. They are absolutely waterproof. They work wonderful. And I just wrote Be Mine on one of the hearts. And so that was one of the ideas for cards. But again, this was really, you gotta wait for everything to dry. And yes, you can dry it with the heat tool. You know, I had a couple spots where I was getting impatient and blew it across another heart or messed up the shapes of my hearts because I was kind of going pretty quick. But I just wanted to share that that is one idea that you could make. Again, I don't think we're going to do that one today because it took quite a while. What we are going to do today is, yeah, this one. So this guy, so easy. You just draw your little heart-shaped balloons and your words are written in the string of the balloon. This is the one I was saying that you can adapt this. Say you don't celebrate Valentine's Day, or you're not celebrating Valentine's Day this year. And I mean, this is a very quick and easy card. When it says Happy Valentine's Day, this is something that, like, if you had children and you were making cards for them to hand out and you wanted to make them, you could do these like a postcard where the back was blank. You could do these smaller, like 2x3 size, like the trading card size, and like just cut a little slit and put a like a lollipop or something in it, and like kids handing out you know, Valentines in their class. You could do that. But do they still hand out Valentines in classes? I have no idea. But anyhow, those are some ideas of how you could do that. But if you are not, and maybe you just need a birthday card. And again, where it says Happy Valentine's Day for the balloons, that's kind of like generic. It could be to anything, right? Like you could give it to boys or girls. Children could give it to other children in their class. If you were doing this for your Valentine, you could put I love you. And that's what we're going to do when we do the second one. I'll put I love you so you can see the different versions. Another thing that you can do is make your balloons regular shape and put happy birthday to you. And if you want, you can align your balloons after everything's dry, or like this one, you don't have to. You can just make the balloons and it's just the string that is the line work done. So I use the Funasuke brush pens to do that. I use the hard tip one. That is the blue. One is like blue and one is green. So the blue one is the hard tip. And then the green, very dark green barrel one is the soft brush. And you can see there it says that WS-BS and WS-BH, that is the brush soft and the brush hard. And black, of course, is the color of the ink. So yeah, I absolutely love these. They are linked below. They're very, very reasonably priced. So something that, you know, might interest you. Now, these are also done in stages because we'll paint the outside balloon, then we'll come back and paint the inside balloon. And I thought core was wonderful for this because we're going to do wet and wet washes and just let the color take off and go. So, setting those aside, we have to start with this guy. So I'm going to get out, and they come in the box like this. You have your envelopes and your cards. Let me just grab a couple of those. If there's time, like if we finish these early and we have plenty of time, then maybe I'll do a quick one of like with the hearts where you do multiple layers, if that's something that you want to see how you do that. Let me just start with like the cards. These are they're very smooth. I said the cards. I meant the envelopes. Right? They're nice. They're not too thin. It's not a shiny paper, but it's like, it feels like that. It feels softer. It's softer than a cardstock, but it has that feeling. You know how cardstock feels like, I want to say feels shiny, but that's not what I mean, but it's just very smooth. Those are the envelopes. Excuse me. All right. Now the cards themselves. So the first thing, there's definitely like a really smooth side. So you see how it has the bump? This is the inside of the card. This is much smoother on the surface versus this side. And I'm trying to see if I can get that texture to there. Can you see it right here? The texture of the paper. So it's not bad. I'm really fussy sometimes with the texture of the paper, especially with like, if it's a cheaper cotton paper. I don't like stuff that just looks like it has like a bunch of lines going straight across it. Hi, James. So yeah, this one does. I mean, it does look like, I can't see if that'll pick that up. See the lines? But it's also has a like deckled texture to it too. Hopefully that'll come through when we're painting. You'll be able to see that. Versus, and let me grab one of these. The Strathmore, let me see if I can get that texture to put. Can you see the texture in here? It's kind of similar. It is kind of similar to what's on this. So similar look. We'll just go with that. All right. So to start with, and I should tape this one down. I really should. All right. I'm going to tape this, and you know what? I'm going to be throwing a lot of water at this. So I'm going to tape it with my Holbein soft tape. I've told you guys about this tape before. I'm actually we're just going to go all out. Normally I wouldn't bend the card first. We're going to bend it. They bend really easily. Take my little boning tool here. Go down that crease. Okay. Now, normally I don't bend them first. I just tape them off and bend them after. They've got these washi tapes. Some of them just don't even want to stick very well anymore. But in here, I have my Holbein soft tape right here. Now, the one that I have linked in the description below, this is about a 1/2 inch. Couldn't find the 1/2 inch. They had the 3/4 inch, which I actually think I would prefer because this is really thin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape the edge off with this tape. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to tape the actual card down with just some cheaper washi tape. I don't want to make this 2 layers with this tape because it's more expensive. So taping it down to my board, I'm just going to use some regular masking. But usually when I use the Holbein soft tape when I'm doing watercolor, and that looks like there's something on that tape. I'm just going to flip that around. It just looked like there was something on the edge. But usually when I use the Holbein soft tape when I am doing watercolor, it always releases cleanly from my paper. It never has torn my paper. It also has never let the watercolor seep underneath the edge, which is what I love about it. If I'm doing something that was way more tape than I needed. Okay. But if I'm doing something that is really important, or that I know I'm doing it because I'm going to be selling the painting, or, you know, this is a painting that I want for here at the house, or, I just want to make sure that I have a really nice clean edge around that, then I will, excuse me, I will use the soft tape. Hey, check that out. So congratulations and huge thank you, Rob. It is his 4th month being a super fan. Inviting you all to come join him as a super fan. I would love it. And now, when you are, all the super fans, if you are already a super fan, I have opened our Discord server up to all members. It used to be community members and above, but community members and above do have areas that are specific to them on the server. However, all the general areas I've opened up to all members. And we do have a couple new people that have popped in over there. So yay, thank you for joining us. We love to have you on there. But if you aren't familiar or haven't used Discord before, it is an app. You can use it right from you can download the app, or you can use it online via like a web page. Pretty sure you can use it like on a web page. Don't quote me on that. Excuse me. But anyhow, you have to create your account on Discord, and then you're going to connect your Discord to your YouTube account. And if you're not sure how to do that, I have a community post that tells you exactly what you need to do to connect the two. So you definitely want to connect it. And if you already have your Discord connected to your YouTube account, and you do that on the Discord side, then it'll automatically open the server up to you when you become a super fan. And Rob has gifted, we've got 10 gifted memberships that just went out. So welcome to Jody. And is it, do you pronounce that Tara, T-E-R-E? I know we have Tara, and that looks like it could also be Tara, but my apologies if I am just really not saying that correctly. Rebel Ant, Norge Ninja Artist, I love the name. Old Lady Farmer, love the Eagle Globe and Anchor as the right there, your icon. Delaney, Roseanne, Julie, Robin, and Soph, welcome. Oh my goodness. So we have all those new members, and that may have opened up another emote. And speaking of emotes, you do have some new emotes this week for Valentine's Day. Okay, I almost just flipped this around because my numbers are upside down, but my fold is up here. It's important to remember. And a lot of times I will write fold on the side that has my fold, because I'm going to set this aside and bring it back. I don't want to forget where it is. Okay, so to start with, what I'm going to do is my horizon line is going to be about 1/3 of the way up. So I'm just going to very, very lightly mark this for myself for where I want my horizon line to be. It's going to be a little bit more difficult on myself, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take my masking fluid. I use the PBO drawing gum, and I've never had it stain my paper blue. Oh, with one exception, when I did today's painting. This I had to go over with the Dr. Paige Martin's Bleed Proof White, because I actually got a little bit of a mark on my page, but that was my fault. I was messing with my palette and I bumped it into my paper. So I like really jammed that as it was drying, like into my paper. And so it didn't come off as cleanly as it always has, but I've never had a problem with this in the past. Okay. So if we think about our paper in, taking our paper in thirds, if you would, right? So we have thirds. And then if you imagined that being thirds as well, we're going to have our sun right about here and our reflection right about here. So I almost grabbed my brush. Not what I want to do. So I have a silicone, it's called a silicone pen tool. These are for like, sometimes they use them like for like nail art, and I like to use these for masking. I'm going to show you how I do. So I take my masking, and I've told you guys, like, you see how full mine is. I always drop glass beads in here. When that starts to get down, I'll just drop another glass bead in it. And you can actually see the marks here. There's glass beads that are in it, and you can hear them inside there. That just helps keep it mixed up. It helps take the air out of the bottle, and it always keeps my masking right up to the rim. I'm sure at some point, you know, not going to once this gets full of glass beads, but for now, keeps my bottle full. I just put air bubbles in it because I shook it weirdly. Anyhow, I can just dip in with my brush or my tool, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to create I'm going to do a heart shape. All those bubbles are popping that were in my masking fluid. See, they quickly disappear. So I just dip in. There we go. And doing it with this, I never ruin a paintbrush. I don't have to dip a paintbrush in soap, hope that it works and doesn't ruin it. I just use my silicone tools. So, yep, it absolutely does. And the other thing that I do, which was something right there, Joseph just said it. Do you also store it upside? Absolutely. I was just going to say, I always store it like this on my desk. So it's setting on my desk like that. Because the PBO, you might get some separation like the color. And this always keeps it down there. I never have a section that's like all dry at the top of my masking. It just doesn't dry out that way. So yep, glass beads and store it upside down on my desk. I do the same thing with the, I have some of the Winsor & Newton masking, And I do the exact same thing with that, the glass beads and everything. I just like the PBO because it has the color. And so Rob, I hope that answered why. Rob just asked Art Joseph Bencham why upside down, and yeah, that's why. Keeps any of it, like if I stored it this way and there was any gap at all at the top, even if it was just like, it's the tiniest amount, that would dry at that edge and you'd be pulling that dried gummy nastiness out of there. But when you go like this, it's never dry, and it doesn't dry up here for whatever reason. Like it doesn't do it. So yeah, I like to add the beads and keep it upside down on my desk. So now when that's done, you can see here, see all the masking that's on that? All I have to do, and there you go, it's clean. The masking's here, this is clean again. And these come in a set. And sometimes I'll use different ones. Like if I'm trying to fill in maybe a larger background, I might use the flat one and kind of pull that around. So yeah, these are the different shapes that I got in my set, and this is the set that I have linked below. I use this one most often, and that's it. So hope that helps. That's just a little tip for if you're doing masking. So now I'm going to let that, and I kind of moved that a little further left than I did with this one, but it's whatever. It's fine. You just put it wherever you want. The thing is we're just going to have our sun in the shape of a heart because it's Valentine's Day. All right, so setting that aside to dry, we don't want to use a heat tool on this. I've seen some people use a heat tool to dry. I don't need to permanently bond this masking to this paper. I also have no idea how this paper is going to react with the masking. So there's that too. Excuse me. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. So what Joseph was saying, like if your masking fluid is like different shape, like I have one of these, you can use like a napkin ring. Joseph says just to cut up a piece of like, a tube from either paper towel, kitchen roll, toilet paper, whatever. Just grab a piece of the tube. The Winsor & Newton one looks like it's a bottle that's shaped like this. This is my iridescent medium, but you see it's upside down. And you could just set it in there. So if it was like, if you had one that was rounded or wobbly, you could just like set it in like that. The Winsor & Newton ones also stand upside down just fine. So that's what I do with those. Okay. So this, while it is drying, I'm going to set that aside, and we're going to start on our balloons. So we're going to want it this way. My folder's here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is we're just going to draw some heart shapes. So just nice and lightly. I leave the bottom nice and lightly, and then smash my pencil into my paper. All right, so I leave the bottom open. Right, and I don't come all the way together on the bottom. I kind of let it fan out and give a little wobbly line and come back up because it's the bottom of a balloon. And then you can do them either like this, where they're kind of tucked one behind the other, or let's give it a different twist this time. Let's put one up a little higher. I didn't look before I started drawing that to make sure, like, was I centered? I want this one to be kind of centered on my paper. That's a little wonky shape. I'll be adjusting these. Again, I'm applying very, very light pressure. I am not pressing on this paper I can't say I'm not pressing on it at all. Clearly I'm pressing on it. It's leaving graphite behind, but I'm not pressing hard on my paper. I'm just letting this kind of glide across the top. It doesn't matter if one's bigger than the other. Erase any unwanted lines. And I think I'm going to put the other one, kind of like I did the balloons, so the center one's behind both. Again, it doesn't matter if they are not all the same size. And it doesn't matter if your hearts are a little wonky. There we go. Pull that part out. All right. How easy is that? That's it. That's all we have to do. Next, we're going to, I'm going to take a kneaded eraser. And I actually just have these little, I think I got these at the dollar store. And I just throw my kneaded eraser. And I have one that I use with charcoal and I have one that I use with graphite. Not that you have to keep them separate. I just do. Just call it a OCD thing or something. I don't know. I just do. So anyhow, we're going to take that kneaded eraser and lift a bunch of that out. Whether you dab your eraser or roll it to lift the graphite off, this doesn't matter. Do what you do. There we go. So now you see it's still there, but it's very, very light. And I just find I store mine in this. I've yet, knock on wood, I've yet to have one dry out. Okay, so remember I said this one, I'm going to have it say, I love you. You could do it, Happy Valentine's Day, whatever message you want, doesn't matter. But it's just 1 or 2 words per line. Like I wanted to do happy birthday to you, but I didn't want 4 balloons because I didn't want an even number. So when I did the happy birthday to you, went on, you know, one string. Okay. Now what we do is we're going to take, I'm using the hard brush on these pens, and it looks, there's your tip. Even the hard brush still has some flexibility to it. And let me just move my water well, my Mead and water well. You guys saw this in the first curated collection that came out on Tuesday. I absolutely love this thing. I'm loving it so much. I'm loving that. Okay, so don't worry if you can't do a perfectly straight line either. That doesn't matter. You're going to, so I said I love you. All right, so we're going to start with just kind of a wonky line that comes up. There's an I. And then here. Just cursive up to the balloon. Okay, that's it. Now, I'm grabbing the largest Mead round brush. Oh, my paint puck doesn't want to, it's not staying stuck. There we go. I just like to put my mini paint pucks into the corners. Let me kind of move this back now. I put my mini paint pucks, I did link them below, into the corners. I find that's all I really need. It helps me really get this clean. You're going to see today as we go along, this is going to get really dirty. This is going to stay really clean. I love this water well. Not that you can't do the same thing. Excuse me. Using 2 different containers of water, you absolutely can. I usually have my two paint puck ones on my desk. And you see the one from earlier That was my dirty one. It's pretty dirty. And then I have another that was my clean, because I didn't want to have to clean this one again. And this is the one that I wanted to use because it's smaller. This takes up less space than those two paint pucks that I was using. Okay. So next what we're going to do is we're just going to take some clean water on our brush. I'm going to get, I need smaller. I need to maybe cut this down. Like I have my rag and it's big, it's huge, and it's just too big. I want it to be smaller because I like to use that to control my water. But I just have a piece of tissue. So if you see me dabbing into my hand, that's it. No, she does not. She does not. And if she can help it, she doesn't do the dishes either. Okay. Lou's probably watching going, yeah, tell me something I don't know. Sorry. All right. We're just going to wet the area of the heart that's on the left. Now, I'm doing the left heart because I'm right-handed. If you are right-handed, I would suggest starting, if you are left-handed, I would suggest starting with the heart that's on the right. Just so you don't put your hand in your work as you go. All right, we're going to paint these down. And you can pick your colors. Whatever you want. I am going to go with the core quinacridone violet because you guys just have to see this color. This is one of my new colors. And I had quinacridone magenta before. I love quin violet. I haven't written down all the pigment numbers and stuff like that, so you're not going to hear me say them today. Normally I would say it. Well, I'm telling you, it's like the most pitiful swatch card ever. It's, yeah. Okay, so you see there, you can see where it's all wet. Super shiny. That's what we're going for. I'm going to come right into my quin violet, and this is going to bully that water like crazy. All right, here we go. It's going to push. Look at it just pushing. It is pushing the water like away. Hi, Teresa. Thanks for joining us. These just take off. I'm just going around that outside edge. See how it's pushing? And a lot of that has to do with the Aquazol, which is Core's proprietary binder. It's like a synthetic oxgall. Oh, look at that. And you just play with the color however you want. We're just going to drop some in and let it kind of do its own little wet and wet thing. I love that color. That's kind of good to know that it's a bully in water because when dropped into water, because if you had a really wet wash with a different color that wasn't as strong as this one and you drop this in, it's going to push that other color right away. So kind of good to know. You see, I'm just kind of leaving a lighter space there. There we go. And dirty our water up. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing to the opposite side. I need to move that out of my way again for a moment. Just going to wet this heart. I'm loving the point that this This is the largest round. I am loving the point on it. If you saw the video when I released the first curated collection on Tuesday, the in talking about these brushes, and I can do a complete separate brush review if that's something that was wanted. And I may, if these become, if I continue to really like these, and this is like the set of affordable brushes that I would recommend, I will absolutely do a separate video on them, because the price, you're getting 10 brushes, and for the price, even if you purchase them separately, not in the curated collection, they're a really good price. They're a really good value. I'm going to do Carbazole Violet, which is Carbazole Violet is, you know it by Dioxazine Purple. So anyhow, if I could create a brush set with Meeden, I wish. I would definitely have one more larger brush, but for this being the largest round, it's really not too small. Would like it to be just a tiny bit bigger, but it's not bad at all, and it definitely holds its point like really, really well. Oh, look at that, just going right around the edge. And you could just choose to go around the edge. I got a little wonky on my heart there. And not paint the middle and just kind of let it do its thing. And what you get is what you get. Look at how that just wants to like vein out. I don't know if I forgot to wet down here, or it already absorbed into this paper. That was really quite dry. I like my Meeden paper. When I wet that Meeden paper, it stays wet. It stays. That is one of the things I love about it. It stays wet longer, especially in this studio. You guys are always hearing me complain about stuff that's drying so fast in here. Oh, excellent. James says, I would love to see, speaking of the brushes, love to see a review on them. Yeah, I'll have to do that separately, because you're going to see me using them this month here on the channel. And then I will definitely give you my opinion. The last set of brushes I thought would be an affordable set that I could recommend for people wanting, you know, a set of brushes just for watercolor. I definitely don't recommend those anymore, because all of mine, like every single one that I was using regularly, the ferrules were loosening up, and I don't like that. That's a no. That's a hard pass for me. There we go. Just leaving a little highlight right there. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to let this dry. We can't do that middle one yet, unless we want all the colors to mingle, which I don't. I want that one to be separate and to be kind of pushed back. So we're going to let this dry, and we're going to come back to it. All right. So let me grab, let's get back to this one. Let's have some fun. Yeah, I can paint over that. It's dry enough. All right. We're going to do our sun. The way that we're going to do this, we need the entire sky to be wet. We're going to do this very wet and wet. This is going to kind of go quick. So you want to kind of plan this out ahead of time. We're going to want some yellow, and that's going to get into a warmer yellow, into like our oranges and our red pink colors. Okay. sticking very much like this. I mean, you can do clouds if you want to, and drop in maybe like some neutral tint or some more purple or whatever you want. But we're really going to focus on how we get that really bright effect that doesn't look like a harsh line. Now you can do it with a harsh line if you want to, like a really stark, hard mark. And if you want to do that, I'll tell you how you can achieve that as we start this. But we're going to begin. My eyes also have not been focusing lately, so it's glasses. That's all courtesy of my fibromyalgia. When it acts up, the muscles in my eyes don't want to contract and do their things to change my focal point. Okay. Wow. So to start with, I'm taking the larger of the flat, so our wash brush here, and I'm just going to wet the whole sky. Use any flat. Use what you have. If I was using my my Princeton Neptune brushes, I'd be using like my 1-inch modeler. You use whatever. You could even use a mop brush. All right to my horizon line, and I want this to be good and wet. This is where I'm really excited to see, because I was not happy with the way it was playing on the Strathmore card, or not the Strathmore card. I was not happy with the way it was playing earlier when I was doing wet and wet stuff on the Strathmore cards. I'm really curious. I've got a speck of something. Somehow I got a fuzz on my paper. At least I saw it before the color came. Okay. So I forgot what I was saying. I was talking about the color and how it was going down. All right. Letting that kind of set in. This is very wet. You see, like, if I could get the lights, if the lights would just want to work all the time, you see how shiny it is. It's not like glass. I mean, this has started absorbing some. It's not pooling. I don't have a pool of water at the bottom. We're going to go right in, and I'm going to start with I think I'm going to go with the Cad Yellow Primrose. That's another new color, so I want to give that one a try. So my Cadmium Yellow Primrose, I'm going to put right here. Now, a tiny bit, I don't want this to be a thick mixture of paint. I want this to be a very light wash, because what we're going to do right now, let's just stay away from leave space between where your sun is. Okay, because you don't want to come in with too much on your brush. The beauty of core is core moves. The core is going to follow in that water. It's going to go towards that heart. So I'm still going to keep like that, kind of that heart shape, but I'm going to stay away from the edge. Remember, that's very wet, so it's going to move. Next, I'm going to warm it up a little bit, and I'm going to get into, this is Dairy Lied Yellow. And I'm just going to come in here and mix it in, right in with the Cad that I had, that Cad Yellow Primrose is what, that one I know is PY35. It is cadmium yellow. If you don't have cadmium yellow, that's fine. Just use your coolest yellow to start with. It's already moving towards, and that's going to give us that really soft, we're not going to have a hard line around our sun. Now, if you wanted that line to be really defined and a really hard line, paint your yellow right around it. Go right to it. And then when that dries, you will have a really hard line between the white of the paper and then the yellow. I just don't want that. I want it to glow. All right. This is already feeling like, because I was talking. So unlike the medium paper where I would not have to worry about this, I feel like this needs more. This is not wet enough. It's sucking that right in. It's important that this paper be wet for this. This wash has to move. You see, I'm just kind of went right into that yellow. I'm not even worried about that. All right, so a little bit warmer yellow. And I'm going to come right around that edge. It's going to mix with that cooler yellow. Pull it out. Pull it out in places, right? So it's not like just a circle. Okay, next up. Coming into I'm going to grab my little bit of this transparent pyro orange. That's bright orange. Yeah, that's really bright, isn't it? It went right through close to which I don't want it. Just going to lift that back out right there. Pyro red light. Nope, this one. And you'll see that I tend to kind of mix them together. This is definitely the ugly stage. We don't want to fuss with it too much though as we put these colors down. Next, I'm going to go into my permanent alizarin crimson. Yeah, permanent alizarin crimson. I'm going to really, and then I'm going to mix that in with some of that so it warms that up a little bit more. And I'm going to bring that down to my magenta and bring that right in. Now, if you wanted this transition, like if you were painting this, you could do this just as a sunset. And you could certainly, what that is right there. You could certainly work this into your red, into purples, and then into blue. You could absolutely do that. Right along my horizon. I have a clean brush. I tap that on my tissue to get most of the water out. So you just want to kind of come around and see again, I wipe, once I lift my brush, I wipe my brush off. Because I don't want to go back into an area where I want it to be really light with color. I have like a hard line right here and I don't want that. Just lifting that out. If I wanted clouds in my sky, let's see. I'm just gonna give it a try. Grab some Payne's Gray. That is a very cool gray, but that is still not quite what I want. I'm gonna grab some of this purple I had. There we go. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it. It's just paper. As the sky moves away from you, any lines that you get are going to be really much, much thinner towards the horizon. So if I want to continue, right? And ones the clouds that are up near me, they are going to be bigger. I'm getting a little bit of veining going on here. I'll move that closer so you can see. See right there, there's like some veining. I don't want that. So all I'm going to do is just kind of, and I got to be careful because this has purple in it now. And purple and yellow, I don't want brown. So I am not going to put too many brush strokes in there because that'll cause those colors not to sit on top of each other, but to really mix, and I just don't want that. So this one's going to look very different from the first one that I did. The one that you saw in the thumbnail. I gotta be careful because this would be starting to mix a lot thinner mixture of, you don't want that. If your mixture has more water than paint than what's already on your paper, it's going to cause blooms. If you have more paint than water, then it's just going to kind of get in there and move and give you these nice soft edges. This is near the sun, so I'm going to put my darker part kind of near the top on this one. Right, and that sun's reflecting up on that cloud. All right, so see, I'm not disappointed that I dove in. I was a little leery, but I'm not disappointed that I dove in with that color. You just have to be brave and just go for it. It literally, at the end of the day, it was just a piece of paper. Why not? Why not give it a try? Well, yeah, I'm certainly not disappointed with the results here. You see, I'm just kind of taking my brush and just kind of letting it dance and skip around to kind of give me a cloud. Maybe we'll put a couple smaller ones here. Watercolor is going to dry later. So you don't have to add clouds. You can add clouds if you want to. And you don't have to make your sun in the shape of a heart for Valentine's Day. You can always just make this a circle. So you can paint along and just do it as a sunset. And the next step, when we do the our land, you can do land or you can do water. If water intimidates you, don't paint water. Just paint land. Right, the reds in our sky, they'd be a nice complement with some green land in the bottom. I would have a very, me personally, I would use a muted green if I was doing land on the bottom of this one. Oh my gosh, Lou is cooking and it smells so good. He got home from work early today, and I guess he stopped at the store and decided he was going to attempt to make some Southwest egg rolls, which are like one of my favorite things. So I'm going to be smelling that throughout the stream. I'll be starving. Hopefully my stomach won't start grumbling. I'm going to bring some of the clouds right through here. Why not? Probably overdoing, but you know, sometimes I just don't know when to stop. Now that this is lighter, I'm going to put some, connect some of that. Get lighter where it's bright. All right, we're going to call that done. Stop and leave it alone. Now I need to let that dry so that I can then come in and do the bottom. And do we want land or? Okay. I was trying to set my brush down. I didn't want to hold it. Or do we want water like I did with this one? You see how I did the reflection like a heart here. We can do either water or land. You guys let me know. Let me know what you want. I'm going to set this aside and we're going to bring back our little balloons. All right, now we need to wet our middle balloon. Come in here. And I'm going to wet up to where my other two balloons were. So far, I can't say that I like these any better or worse than the Strathmore, the cellulose cards I was using. I wasn't sure what I was going to think of the texture, but so far I don't mind it. Okay. And that middle one, what color should we do the middle one? Let's go with a red. Let's go with permanent alizarin crimson. And you see, it just has, there's just a sheen. It's really not super wet on this one. So permanent alizarin crimson. Spot of water on my ferrule there. All right, I'm just gonna again go right around that edge and let it kind of start to take off and do its thing. Look at that. That's the beauty of core. And you see already, like, this is not moving that much. This paper has already sucked in that water, which I was concerned that I didn't have enough water down to keep everything moving, like really moving. But that's okay. around my other one. Oh, oh, hazelnut coffee. I had hazelnut coffee too. I love hazelnut coffee. That is one of my favorites. I'm just going to put in much thicker mixture with the crimson. And again, I will leave a spot over here for like a highlight. I didn't put one on this, but that's fine. There we go. And that may kind of bleed together. I don't know. We'll see. A weird bubble. I don't know what that's from, but I'm just going to move it down to the bottom. There we go. So there's our other heart. Oh, maple syrup is definitely a thing in Maine. Saw Joseph ask Starving if maple syrup was a thing in Australia. I don't know. Do they have maple trees? Maple trees indigenous to Australia? I don't think so. I don't know. There we go. So we're just going to let that dry. And I may come back and do the lines on this one. French toast. I love French toast. You guys are talking about food. You're going to make me even more hungry. All right. So now this, I think, has dried enough. I think that's dried enough that it's still damp. This is still very cool to the touch. I would not use my heat tool on this because I have masking fluid on it. So that's why we needed to let it kind of set and do its own thing. So, did we say, do we want land? Do we want land or do we want water? I was like looking at the chat to see if anybody dropped a comment. Land or water? I think I'm just going to go with the water and we'll work on this reflection, which was a challenge the first time, so I'm just glutton for punishment. George says, I'd like to see water. All right, water it is. All right, so I'm going to come back in with my wash again and my wash brush and really wet, because I'm going to wet right up to that horizon line, because I want to do this wet and wet. And there is definitely, like, I can't even get it to show up. There's definitely a lot of water on that. There, you see how reflective that is? Lot. Yeah. From Canada. She says from Canada. Oh, you need Maine maple syrup. I'm biased though. It tastes the same. It's going to be just as delicious. Okay. So first thing I want to do is again, grab some of that, just a tiny bit of that cad yellow. And I know this is going to be too much. I just know I've already got too much on my brush. And I barely touched it, but I need this to be light. Picked up a fuzz somewhere. So my heart is there. So I want my heart here. I'm going to kind of leaving that sort of heart shape-ish. Some of that out into there. And this brush will, I've got like a pool of water in the corner here. I'm just going to pull some of that out. There we go. Okay. Then coming back into that warmer yellow. Put some of that in here. I'm just kind of mimicking where I see it here. Getting into more of the orange that I had. And I'm not going to worry about getting everywhere, so I'm going to have watercolor. Not watercolor, watercolor. Oh. Oh, maple candy's yummy. I can remember when I was a kid, we used to go to the it was like a school field trip. We went to a sugar shack, and they did the maple syrup, like the fresh maple syrup on snow. Like, it was snow. It was safe to eat back then. It was, as long as it wasn't yellow. But we would have it on snow, and so you'd get like a bowl with the snow and the maple syrup. It was just sugar. It was just pure sugar water. It was great. It was wonderful. All right, grabbing some of that, like what I had in my cloud color. Pop a little bit of that in. Dioxazine purple, a little bit of Payne's gray. And I'm going to use that. Run it straight across at my horizon. I'm making purple water. My water's purplish color. It's fine. And this is still very wet right now. So I'm just looking for my white spaces here and filling that up. Some of it. Again, I'm going to be really careful. I've got yellow here and purple, and I do not want to mix those. I just want them to kind of touch each other, but set. If I keep putting my brush through that, I'm going to start to mix them on the paper. And yellow and purple, just going to make a really muddy, yucky mess. So you just kind of want to put the stroke down, get in, get out, walk away. Nobody gets hurt. I'm going to let that start to dry. We're going to come back with other layers, but I need this yellow to really be dry. Now, unlike up here where my heart was, I didn't want to use my heat tool when it was like that. But this is now the paint around this, as long as my hands aren't wet, I think is plenty dry enough. I'm going to just go for it, and I'm going to take that masking off so that I can use my heat tool for the rest of this. So you can use your finger and just rub over that masking. Pull that up. Or you can use, I do have a rubber pickup here, and we can use that. And pull that masking. I'm kind of going from the edges towards the center. Trying to be really careful. I put it on a bit thicker than I normally put it on. So I see that like it just a little nick of my paper there, but it's fine. There is my sunshine. Look how nice and bright that is. I love it. There you go. There we go. And ready? See your heart shape? Now I can grab my heat tool. Let's dry this water. I do not have the magic microphone on. No. Now I do. Oh yes, I agree, Starving. I love pour watercolors. Love them. I love them. They're like magic in a tube. So, if you like it just like that, stop. Walk away. Don't do anything else. I'm glutton for punishment. I can't help myself. We're going to go again. We're going to go with another layer. All right. So now I think I'm trying to decide if I want to go wet and wet again. I think I do. Why not? We're just going to. Now I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to put as much water, but I'm going to come across here with another layer. Get all the extra off. So I've wiped my brush off on my water well. And now I'm just going to come in. I am not going to do multiple. There's not enough water coming out. I'm not going to do multiple passes over everything because I'm going to start to reactivate colors underneath and would start pulling them through. I just want this water setting on top of that under layer. All right. The more you put your brush across that paper, the more you're going to reactivate what's already there. Let's go with, I want to stick with that, kind of liking the whole purpley, so Dioxine purple, Lil Payne's gray, and that's giving us our darkest. Let me kind of move that down there. That's giving us our darkest watercolor, the darkest color of our water. And I'm just going to come back again. And remember, these are still going to dry a little lighter and just not very well. Trying to follow along that horizon line. There we go. I should have started here so that it would have been lighter when I got to this side. I wasn't thinking. I'm just going to pull some strokes through, always going left to right. Trying to be conscious of leaving some of those lighter colors that I put in that are reflecting the sky. The last time what I did was for this area, and I need to turn this slightly. I was thinking of that heart shape. So when I did my reflections, kind of worked it in the, like those lines, the ripples, also in the shape of a heart. Again, working over that yellow. I'm going to be really kind of careful. I don't want too much. They're not lined up straight, but you get the point. I can touch that up. I've got my Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white, so I can still mess with that. I think that's a good idea too, Rob. Rob says, I'm concentrating on on limited brands right now on my watercolor journey. Like if you just start off using one or two and really get to know them, and Rob, you knowing because we swapped colors with these core paints, so knowing that you have core and Winsor Newton, you have like two complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Winsor Newton stays right where you put it most of the time, and core absolutely does not. It's like it's the little it'd be like having two children. They're completely different. Core is like, I must go off and explore the entire page, and Winsor Newton's like, I'll just hang out right here for a bit. All right, I'm gonna adjust this with my Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof, right? It should really be over here more versus here, but you know, whatever. It's maybe we're standing right here looking out at it. It's fine. My Mary Blue and Winsor Newton Pro. So, oh, that's right, because you do have the My Mary Blue also. Well, see, you have a few you could dive into, but I have to use the My Mary Blue more, really kind of see what I think, but I'm just having a blast right now with watercolor paints. I want to get some that's a little darker. So some more of that. That's definitely darker, and more Payne's Gray. And I have some in my core palette. I'll do a whole video on this new core. It's not a new palette, but this palette that has my core paints, because I have some that are like these are doubled. I have two of that color. I have 2 of this color, so I'm trying to use up the one that's lowest. I may kind of take them out like I showed in my Daniel Smith palette video. I may take those out, like scrape the paint out and put them in the other palette. I haven't decided yet. I'm just getting some much darker values going through here. I just mixed up a much just darker version with the dioxazine purple and the Payne's gray. And the further away with the water, the thinner and closer our lines are going to be together. And as we get closer, they get thicker and more spaced apart. See how much is like drying it? It just dries so fast. It's very hard to keep anything wet for long in here. It's like my studio is a life-size dehydrator. And you ordered the meeting. Oh, your meeting? I definitely like. I say student grade because that's what like my. I just want to say they have to be like student grade. Like for the price, they're student grade. But they give you all the pigment information. And there are quite a few light fast pigments there. And yeah, so if you haven't seen the curated collection video yet that went out Tuesday, we're talking about those paints. I will be using them in the live stream next week. So if you get the curated collection, tune in live. We're going to paint with them together. And it's going to be a great time for if you have any questions. I'll get more into curated collections then and what exactly that is. If you've missed the video, you can go check that out after the live stream and hear all about them. I will no longer be doing your traditional art subscription boxes. I'm not subscribed to any of them anymore. And the curated collections are what has replaced that, if you would. Just gets so dry. One of these days, I'll get really good at painting water. James, that is a great question. And the answer, let me just put that up just in case anybody watching on replay has a similar question. The pricing for this month's is set by Meeden. And of course, subject to change, I'm sure, at any time. But I can tell you that that price has been that price for it's been at that for a while. The code Clark 10, that's capital C LARK, the number 10, 10. That will be good. That shouldn't expire. So you should be able to get a discount whenever you're able to order it. As far as the pricing, I can't say for 100%, but it's been at that for a while. So you should be fine. Like if it's a couple weeks from now, whatever, I would say, there is a chance it could change, but chances are it will be the same. It's like for what you get in that collection, it is such a great value. And then of course I have some of the add-ons. The water well being one. That square palette. I love the square palette because it lets you get all 24 colors into a palette like right away. I think I'm gonna like leave that there. I'm not liking this right here, and I'm gonna adjust that with the Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White. But I need this to dry because Bleed Proof White is only bleed proof if what's underneath it is completely dry. Otherwise, that color can leach up into the white. So let me dry this again. Okay. My masking is wanting to come up because I folded this card first. There's not a ton of buckling though. I'm surprised. I would have expected more buckling with the paper um, for what this cotton paper, these cotton cards uh, cost. I expected a little bit more buckling. Um, but yeah, we're gonna be covering those soon. Starving Artist Collective was talking about the Mission Gold, and yeah, I've got them, and we're going to be covering those before long as well. Oh yeah, look at this well. Rob was talking about this rinse well, dirty, dirty water, and look how clean this still is. Um, Now I think that it definitely lasts longer as far as my clean water staying clean when I have a paint puck in here. But even before I put the paint pucks in there, I was really I was very pleasantly pleased, surprised, whatever, with how well that works. So I'm going to take, this is the little palette that comes in the curated collection this month, if you choose to get that. Again, there's a whole video about that. If you're like, what is she talking about, curated collection? Check out the video that came out on Tuesday, and that will explain it all. So there's Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White. Ooh, I hear UPS. It's exciting. I ordered a new paintbrush, one that I haven't tried yet. That should be here today. And another Butcher Tray palette because I just need more palettes, right? Listen, I have a problem. All right, so I'm going to adjust this with the Dr. Peach Martin's Bleed Proof White. I was not necessarily thrilled about that. Let's knock that back. going to shift that over just a tiny bit. I'm not going like every way. You can see some of the yellow. I'm doing this in lines. And normally I don't think I would have like the heart that wow. It's just because it's, you know, Valentine card and I want it to really show up. I'm going over this one. I don't know why. I just did. I had a spot of purple there that I didn't like, or the gray from my clouds. And mostly I think this is just because I'm curious how this paper, after having the masking there, how it was going to take what I put on it. It's very bright. Now that water's really murky. All right, just working right through the edge. I'm kind of blending this to the edge I already had. Oh my gosh, I really hope you guys cannot hear my neighbor's dog. He's losing his darn mind again. This happens on a regular basis. Yeah, there was like a little tiny pill there on my paper from the where the masking was. So I would be careful on these cards. I don't ever have that problem like on my meeting paper, the meeting cotton paper. I don't ever have that problem. I love that paper. I can't like say that. I can't say that enough. I love that paper. Okay. So you see, you could paint this. Like I said, it would not have to be a heart. You could do a circle. Another thing that I do, like if you don't have masking fluid, you can take, I have circle stickers, and I just put, it's like the size of a quarter, and I just put that on and then paint around it, and then I remove, you know. The dog is as magical as the hairdryer. Well, thank goodness, because he has an obnoxious bark. Yeah. All right, I'm going to dry that one more time, and we're going to take the tape off. Might not be 100%, but it should be good enough. And you saw I went like around my tape. Yes. Great question. Yes, it does, James. You can get the Meeden 100% cotton paper in a 9x12 size as well. I don't have it in the 9x12. I have the 10x7 because a lot of times, like, you know, when I'm using it and doing stuff live or for videos, I tend to work smaller in the interest of time. So, yeah. All right. We're also this month, by special request from Rob, the wow, I just totally, sorry, the studio tier. If you are a member on the studio tier, when we do our monthly, our live Zoom get together here in the studio, we're going to use the supplies from this month's curated collection. So he had asked about doing that, and I thought that would be a great idea. And that is a week from this Friday, a week from tomorrow. So you will see me use them in the live stream, but we're definitely going to do some more with them when we hang out on Zoom. And if that's something that interests you, for studio members, we get to do that once a month. For creator members, that is once a quarter. You get to hang out on Zoom, which is wonderful. If you have questions, or if there's a technique that you've been trying to learn and you need some extra help with it, trying to figure it out, whatever it is, you can show me what you're doing. It's the best way, aside from sitting there side by side. Like I used to teach via Zoom. I used to teach some art lessons via Zoom, and I found that, that was during the pandemic. And look at this. Look at the edge. Holbein soft tape, guys. Look at how clean that edge is. Every single time I use Holbein soft tape, I always get an edge. It always an edge that looks so crisp like that. Look at that. And it always comes off so easily. Look at that. Isn't the tape like, it's like one of the most satisfying parts for me. Look at how nice and crisp. If you've never used Holbein soft tape before, definitely recommend. It's a little more expensive, and that's why a lot of times, I save it for when I'm working on a piece that is something special, because crisp edge every single time. It never leaks underneath. So yeah, love it. There is that one, and you can see it is definitely a heart shape. And you can just write whatever message inside. And, it's like, what is it? Love for George. And so you could put, write something on the cover if you wanted to. You don't have to. You could write like a little message in the little border around here if you wanted to. That would be an idea. So there's one. Let's come back to this guy. So now I'm going to grab my, where'd it go? Right there. My Fudenosuke. It's just weird to say. Right? And you don't have to do this. You don't have to line your balloons if you don't want to. You can leave them just as they are. Again, this is the hard tip. It says hard tip, but it's still quite flexible. I love these pens. These are definitely worth getting for the studio, and they're not very expensive. It comes with the pack of 2. I have the pack of 2 listed below because those were the more affordable option over the holidays. I've shown you they have a pack of 3, which looks like this, and that went on sale over the holidays this year, and I snagged another set because these felt like they were starting to get a little drier, but gosh, I've used these for quite a while. They certainly last. There we go. Now, we just take that, grab my little boning tool. I set this kind of at a 45-degree angle and just come right down the edge. It looks like that if you're not sure what I'm talking about. There we go. Look at that one. Isn't that cute? I just thought it was cute. I thought that was cute. And again, you can do it like that, or Happy Valentine's Day. Whatever message you want, just write it in the ties of the balloon. I like that cotton paper. Huge thank you to Rob for recommending that. I do like these cotton cards for sure. They're more affordable than the Strathmore card. Strathmore card is what's here on my right. And again, you can do those as regular shaped balloons to put happy birthday. So if we look, they are, if you've used the Strathmore watercolor cards before, they're just, let me put these both down. They're just as wide, but the Strathmore card, which is this one, is a little bit shorter, not by much. That's maybe 1/8 of an inch shorter. So very similar size, like that 5x7 size. Yeah, I like the outline. George says I like the outline on the hearts. I like the outline on the hearts too, like that, versus without the outline, like this. I like the outlines. So there are those. What time do we have? Yeah, probably not. So again, this was the other one that I showed you that I had made, and this was just working up with negative painting techniques. So you're just going to take a really light wash. I taped off my paper, not Holbein soft tape. See how it's sticking out like that? Holbein soft tape never does this to me, which is why I love it. So a really light wash of color, and then let that dry. And your next wash of color is when you would outline your first hearts. So you would put your first hearts and then paint everything else. And then that dries. And so that would be this color wash. Then when that's dry, again, you outline more hearts. You paint around all the hearts again. And you just keep doing that, and it gets darker and darker and darker. So you have your final color, and that was the one just before this last wash. So during this last wash is when I created the shape of these hearts. Hopefully that all makes sense. And then I just went around with my, I had a silver Posca I did here. I'd probably do more with I did the silver Posca on these, the gold on the one that I wrote Be Mine in. And yeah, that was just another quick idea for a watercolor card for Valentine's Day. And there was our painting. Now, again, this, you can do sunset painting like that without it being a heart. You can just make it a circle and just paint it because you want to paint a sunset. Oh, absolutely. Rob asks, could you hit the balloons with a little sparkle from like so if I grab my Wink of Stella, these aren't linked in the description below, but let me grab the Wink of Stella and I'll show you what he's talking about. This one is just the glitter. It's not silver or gold. It is just put some sparkle in. Now, this pen will absolutely, you see it's picking up color. It will definitely activate the color. But can you guys see all the sparkle? Sparkles everywhere. I could do just the highlight if I wanted to. I can certainly, you want to go quick, and again, it's one of those where you don't want too many brush strokes. The more you go over an area, the more you're going to activate and move that color, is what I find to be true anytime I've used these on top of watercolor. Like, it doesn't want to catch the light and show up. I think when I dry them, sometimes they show up more, but that is all, they're very sparkly and shimmery now. Oh no, Tara's stuck behind. Let me just dry that. One of the things I love about those Wink of Stella pens, if you get those, because I use these like to make my snow sparkle on some of my Christmas cards. It's not like if you put glitter on. Can you see the sparkles? I don't know if it's picking it up, but it's not like if you put glitter on where whoever you give that card to is going to be very, very displeased with you because they're going to have glitter for the rest of their lives appearing places. It doesn't come off like that. There we go. Look at that purple one. Look at this one. See the sparkle that comes through in there? I love that pen. That is the clear, the Wink of Stella brush 2. Let me see if I can get that to focus. So they're made by Zig. It's Kuretake. The Wink of Stella, and it is the brush 2. And this is clear. I will absolutely order more of these when that pen tends to die down, because like I love to paint cards. I love to paint my own cards, and those are amazing for adding a little bit of shimmer and sparkle without putting some, like when I go over that, it doesn't come off on my finger. Like I don't have sparklies on my fingers that I'm then going to transfer everywhere else I touch. They kind of stay put. So yeah, there you go, Rob. Yes, you can add sparkles to your cards for sure. And you could do that. I do use the Wink of Stella on this one. I did the silver. It's not showing up as much, but I did the silver around these hearts in the back. So there's a little bit of sparkle there. And that's what I did on all of these. I used the silver Wink of Stella because I got the silver, gold, and clear in a set. And yeah. No, use crazy glue. It's not archival, but it's not going anywhere. I could also take that clear one, like if I wanted my water, to kind of sparkle and shimmer, especially like in the areas around where the heart is, if you would, I could just come in here. And I could even, if I wanted my sun to sparkle, well, I don't know if this is a good choice or a bad choice, but you know, whatever. We'll just dive in. Just like with our clouds, why not? It's only paper. There we go. So, and anytime I go over a paint, I tend to wipe that off because I'm just looking to see if I can see the sparkle. Once it dries, it shows up more. That's when you tend to see it even more. So yeah, you could do that. You can also go over like your water. If you were painting just the water and you wanted like the sun catching it and sparkling and reflecting, you could come through just here and there. And as the light catches your card, it's going to look like, it feels like my like, it may be time for a new one. I used the heck out of this over the holidays. I may have to get it. I may have to get me a replacement. I don't know, but yeah, I can see some sparkle now in my water. So when the light hits it just right, you know, if this card were on display at someone's house, when the light hits just right, your water's going to sparkle. So yeah, anywhere you need a little bit of sparkle. I love that Wink of Stella brush pen. Look at that water. Still clean. I'll leave this on my desk and you'll actually see it. Like I'll come back tomorrow. It'll be down probably 1/8 of an inch because we'll have evaporated. And there'll be lines around the edge. Like you can see the line with the pink right there. It always comes so clean though when I wash this out. But yeah, that'll sit on my desk and I'll use it for the next couple days before I'll have to worry about changing that water. So I love it. We will do a video on my whole new core palette and all the colors that are in that now another time. Huge thank you to Rob for swapping colors with me and helping me expand that collection. So there you have your happy Valentine's Day. I love you guys. And if Valentine's Day is not your thing, you know, a great one to do is just like a happy birthday card. Balloons. Write your message in the strings. It could be for anything. You could do like get well. You could put get well soon and do balloons and do that. Pretty easy, versatile design. Negative painting. There you go. Well, that is a lot of different cards. Thanks. Hey, you're not supposed to look. You might see one of these again. I just saw Lou pop in the chat. So there we go. There was my first one for my thumbnail. Again, this one was on the medium paper. I just did this one so fast. You know, it is what it is. It's no masterpiece, but it was definitely fun. Let me see. Let me switch things up. If you enjoyed the video, please do click that thumbs up and give it a like. And if you are not subscribed already, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. We would love to have you here. And a huge thank you to all of the patrons and members. If you are a member, you have access to Discord now. All you have to do is connect your Discord to YouTube. And there is a community post to tell you how to do that. So just check out my community tab here on YouTube if you need help with that. There you go. I'm going to put another video up. It's right about there. If you're watching this on the replay that you might like to watch next, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and joining me for this Valentine card session. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you all next week. We're going to use my first curated collection, so I hope you will tune in and join me. And if you have ordered it, hopefully you have it by then, and we'll play together. So yeah, if you're not sure what we're talking about, check out the video on the curated collection, and maybe I'll pop that one up top there so that you can check it out if you haven't seen it already. Till next time, guys, keep creating, and I will see you real soon. Bye.